Evet.
Şipsi bir rengi var.
Bak o durduğu için onu çekiyorum ben.
Şurada değil mi?
Evet.
Nasıl parlıyor?
Evet. Ve onu çekiyorum şu anda.
Peki net gözüküyor mu?
Süper.
Could this be the best HD video, well, as HD as we're gonna get, of UFO? Man, this guy Yalcin Yilmaz, this is in Turkey UFO, over 3 years, so 3 separate summers, 2007, 2008, and 2009. There were many reports across all of Turkish news. Many witnesses had supposedly seen saucer, cigar-shaped craft, weird lights in the sky, and this guy Yilmaz, he lives at this Yeni Kent. He's like a security guard. Bought this camera with a long-range zoom on it, and he got some amazing footage. So all the footage I've been kind of wanting is long footage. You want a long time frame? There's tons of footage, man. I get trapped. It was difficult just making this video because there's so much footage. And then points of reference. So luckily he has the timestamps on there. There is some controversy on the time. I think it actually lines up pretty well. So he's got the timestamps on there, and then he has some references to the moon. It's probably the best reference in this video. So go through. Do I think it's a cruise ship? I don't know. What do you think? We'll see at the end. Amazing footage, amazing video. So much data here, so we'll get right to it. So I actually had a hard time just deciding how to make this video because honestly, there's so much footage. So normally it's like we have too little footage. You know, if you look at Gimbal, all the Navy videos, and they're very short. This is just, there's hours and hours of footage, okay? So right here, Turkey UFO incident. This is the YouTube channel. I think it has great information. If you go to this first video here, what is this, 2009 Turkey UFO video? If you go here now, this is where in the descriptions, you get a link to all of the great websites on this thing. So Scientific and Tech Research Board of Turkey, they did a report on it. Research and Case History website. This is probably the best location for information on it. Okay, so I'll click here. Goes to this website. It goes through Turkey UFO case overview and background. So again, just tons of information. This is in the news. So it says, actually I know Turkish, okay, randomly. I lived in Turkey for 3 years. I flew and trained Turkish pilots, several of which were in the coup and now in prison, unfortunately, or disappeared. So randomly, I know Turkish, which is awesome. So it's a little rusty, okay, but it was good practicing up for this video. So it was in the news, okay, so this is the main paper, Istanbul, or one of them. This says, in Hakiki UFO Kumburgaz'da. So this is, in reality, it really is a UFO in Kumburgaz. Just a little overview on this webpage, okay, so it goes through the original video footage, okay, it has pictures, Yilmaz. Okay, there's again pictures relating, so tons of information in here on this website. Okay, so I would reference that after this video because honestly I can't cover that much of it in this video. Okay, so this is Kumburgaz. Okay, if you look here, it's basically a little resort town. Let's get north up, freaks me out. Okay, this is the Bosphorus. Okay, so only warm water port for Russia is located over here. You know, Crimea is up here. This is Turkey, amazing country. I love Turkey. I was actually at a base. Now they bombed out this base, okay, but I was here at Akinci. This is Akinci Air Base, man. I was at a little, this is my squadron building here. This base was bombed actually in the coup. So I was there actually 3 years. I learned Turkish, trained with the Turks. I flew F-16s. They have F-16s there. We have exchange program between the US and Turkey. Went to Istanbul a little bit. Amazing city, giant, right? Overcrowded. This is Kumburgaz. Basically, what you have is Yeni Kent. You have these little resort areas right on the coast here, and one of these is Yeni Kent. So like I said, there's just so much content. I'm just going to start with what I think is kind of the most compelling parts. There's 2 sections I really think are the most compelling video. There's hours of footage, okay, from 2007, 2008, 2009. And there's a couple points that I think are really compelling. So the first one is this. Middle of the morning, 3:06 a.m., May 17, 2009. And what you'll see here is this is the moon. He'll zoom in on this little speck up here. And then this is the UFO, okay? And you'll see he zooms in the same frame. So let's watch it. Okay, so he zooms in on that crazy metallic looking UFO. Okay, and now he'll zoom back out and he'll zoom in on the moon here and you'll see. So he said there, oh, I found it. There's the moon. Where did it go? I think he said. Oh, okay, so it goes back on the UFO. So he's filming from the beach. We'll check in a minute here. You'll see. He's made a bunch of interviews, so he talks about it, how he's getting this film. So now he zooms in on the moon. And then he zooms back out. So, and then back into the UFO. Okay, I think this is super powerful, right? Because we can all agree that was the moon. And you can check the moon now. We can check the moon phases and then how high it is above the horizon based on this time. Okay, so there is some issues with, is the time correct? I think generally it is. The best argument against this is that it's a cruise ship. Okay, that somehow this lines up. I still can't really see it, but that's the best argument against this, is that he's videoing a cruise ship because it can't really be a reflection, right? Because we're zooming in. You're zooming in, so the reflection wouldn't zoom. And this is where he's actually filming from. Okay, so here's Istanbul, and then we have over here right on this little harbor. Okay, so basically I did the math for distance equation. Okay, if you want to see how far you can actually see from the horizon, okay, there's a curve of the earth. So if you're I put him at 4 meters above the ground, right? So let's say he's filming from 2 meters up and then 2 meters above sea level. You can only see this far, which is 7.14 kilometers. Okay, so if you're 4 meters up, he can only see this far. So the horizon, when we do see the horizon, I think that's 7 kilometers away. And then to actually even see a cruise ship, okay, your average cruise ship is the height is around 76 meters, right? Taller than you would expect. So those things are tall. Okay, so this is the farthest you could actually even see a cruise ship, okay, would be 31 kilometers. And I reference it's about this angle, okay, based on the angles away. So this is where he is filming Yilmaz. So he's filming this direction, okay? So if we look at the moon phase, I went to mooncalc.org. So if we type in that exact time that you read on the screen there, 3:06 Zulu, this is what we get, okay? So the moonrise, it basically comes up over the land, behind the land here, and then it rises, and then it sets over the right side of the ocean as you're looking out from Kumburgaz. And so this is 12.55 degrees, okay? So that's what it says based on that time. So we can check the time here, because if it was earlier, okay, if you change this just even a few minutes earlier, so same date, right? Let's go to 20, this is 2:21 UTC. And what you'll see here is now, this is what, 45 minutes earlier, the moon, it would have to be looking over the land, okay? So we'd be seeing some land down there, I believe. And it's only gonna have 5 degrees from the moon to the horizon, okay? And we know how far the moon is 0.52 degrees across. Okay, we know the angular size of the moon. So that doesn't work. So we know the angular distance of the moon, right? Diameter is 0.52 degrees, so half a degree. Okay, and we know there's no land. We're not seeing any land here, right? So if you measure down, actually from here to here is 5 degrees. Okay, so that's 5 degrees. That's why I picked that time at 2:12. Because that would show that we should be seeing the land here, right? We should be seeing land if it's earlier. So I think this time we can say is correct. And I think we can show that the moon is 12.5 degrees above the horizon. There's even a point here. I think Mick West brought it up as a point that would dispute this. But if we go back at the very beginning of this footage, okay? That's earlier, 2 days before. Okay, very beginning of this footage, right? So May 17th, right? Remember, this happens over many days. What you see here is there's a light here, okay? But again, if we measure the distance or across of the moon, okay, and know that that's 0.5, so half a degree, and we calculate down, so if we measure down again, we get 12 degrees. Okay, so this light here that we're seeing, I think it's either a street light or a boat or something. I think this is correct, or it's referencing off the moon. Okay, I do see it's kind of similar, so it could be a reflection. So that corroborates that this time. Okay, so the moon, I believe, is 12.5 degrees above the horizon, which means it can't be a cruise ship, right? It can't be a cruise ship. Because if that's correct now, okay, 12 degrees, your horizon, your actual ground is down here. Because this is 12, this will be 12 degrees if we measure the size of the moon. Corroborates, okay? So this thing is up in the air. It's basically 7 degrees above the horizon. So it's up in the air. That doesn't map to any ground or in the background. There's no like mountains or anything. I mean, there are some smaller mountains, but they're like way down here, okay? So based off the time, the moon phase, and the distance from here to here, I think this thing is up in the air, whatever this is. Okay, so could it be a fake? It zooms right in, man. Boom. I mean, look at that thing, dude. Woo! It's crazy. So how big is this thing? How big do I estimate this? Okay, if you measure the moon at 0.52 degrees, and then you measure this, okay? This across is half of the moon diameter is what I measured. So that means it's 0.25 degrees across, okay? If we go to milliradians now, that is 4.36 milliradians. You can look back in my older videos. That's how fighter pilots we use milliradians, or snipers use it as well. So what does that tell me? If it's 4.36 milliradians, if this thing is 60,000 feet away, okay, that's 10 miles, then each milliradian is 60 feet. So if each milliradian is 60 feet, then at 10 nautical miles, if this thing is 10 nautical miles away from the camera, this is 261 feet across, okay? And if it is 20 miles away, you just double that. So it'll be 520 feet across if it's 20 miles away. If it's closer, if it's 5 miles away, it's still 130 feet long. Okay, so if this thing was 5 miles away, and it feels like it's further to me, just 5 miles away would be 130 feet long. So this thing is quite big. Okay, so I think you're looking anywhere from 250 to 500 feet long if it's between 10 and 20 miles away. So again, it's up in the air. How far away is it? Not really sure, but it does look like, according to other witness testimony, that it was over the middle of the sea. They've also done a lot of analysis on this. There's tons of analysis done on this by TÜBİTAK. They were it's the technical science group of Turkey, and they say that the light is reflecting off of the moon. Okay, so what we're getting is actual moon reflection from here. This is from 2 days earlier. Just crazy. And you guys may have heard, so Roger Leir, he was a famous ufologist. He did work on implants, so he's a doctor, Dr. Leir. He passed away. But he was there in 2009 when I believe some of this footage was actually taken. And he said that he looked through the actual viewfinder and saw occupants somewhere in here, okay? And that's where the cruise ship idea kind of went, where they said, hey, this looks just like a cruise ship. On Debunking, they basically found a link to this website that is no longer there, actually, but that this is a cruise ship, okay? But like I already said, this would have to be 250 feet across if it's just at 10 nautical miles away, right? 260 feet across. So a cruise ship is not 260 feet wide, or normally. it seems to look different. You know, I don't know if there's two different ships, or my own guess is that we're looking at the same object from different angles and maybe in different configurations. A lot of people, witnesses in Turkey, said that they saw cigar-shaped craft. Okay, but this looks cigar-shaped to me. If you saw that at a distance. So you'll see it in that previous configuration, and then it'll show up like this, where it kind of reminds me of the McMinnville UFO. That was mentioned by John Ramirez. He was an ex-CIA officer. And he brought up the McMinnville UFO. And that's what kind of cued me onto this one. Is I was interested as well, but to me it looks very similar. So we have two kind of configurations. That one you saw before, I'd call it the cruise ship configuration, and then this, where it just looks like like a turtle shell. We can also check based on the time of sunrise. Okay, so sunrise around 5:20 on this day. So this is right at 5 a.m. And this is 20 minutes later. Okay, according to witness testimony, this is in the same spot. So basically the same spot that he was just filming, same general location, 20 minutes earlier we saw that craft, okay? And then in the same spot now we're seeing these red lights. And these are some crazy orange lights. I mean, look at that. That just looks crazy to me. And you may have seen this. This is where the dog's just barking on the coast. Different scene. So he goes, he bites off on this, I think this is a planet actually. And then he goes back to the lights here. And he zooms in on these lights. Right? I mean, those are some freaky looking lights, I think. That's from 2009. Okay, so look at this, even creepier. So this is that second configuration, 4:59 a.m., May 15th, so 2 days earlier, in that same location, okay, according to Yilmaz, he's filming, and then if we overlay the lights, okay, if you look at the lights, it maps. It's basically the same, it's the same location around. So it almost looks like these lights are what we can see of this thing, whatever it is. Unidentified aerial phenomena is what I would call this. Okay, but it was very interesting to me that these lights seem to match up. So I tried to do that with the other formation. There was another set of lights that we saw like this. What I did notice is this seems to match up. So I don't know if we have maybe the ship is here and then we have two other lights, or what I did is I overlaid. So you have the ship here, okay? This is the first configuration, I would say, cigar configuration. And then I tried to overlay these. So if you notice, there's two lights right here that do match up, right? You have this light here. And then if you look, it does seem to match up distance, and then these do match up, but then these didn't really fit, you know? And I tried to upside down different ways. Yeah, but I thought it was very interesting that the orange balls were in the same location as the craft. Okay, and this was interesting to me based on a report out of the UK. So what kind of cued me onto this is this very interesting Ministry of Defense. So out of the UK is this release, and my question is this legitimate? So if we look at this from National Archives, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena in the UK Air Defense Region. If we read the executive summary, interesting for me, this is the actual report, okay? So this is it, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena in the UK Air Defense Region, executive summary from 2000. This is from 2020, almost 22 years ago, now unclassified, okay? And if we look down, this is the first picture, orange lights, man, look just like those orange kind of weird orb lights that we saw in the video. And this is very interesting, okay? I mean, this shows me that they have a lot more evidence and knowledge about what these things are than they're letting on. You see these X's here, this has basically been redacted. And so let's read here. This is my favorite line right here. That UAP exists is indisputable. So introduction is probably the most eye-opening for me. Reports of UAP, popularly known as UFOs, are usually described as colored lights and sometimes as shaped. They are typically spherical, disc, toroidal, or cigar-shaped. Very occasionally, they are reported with sound and even with smell. Reports occur because they comprise unfamiliar and unexpected lights, shapes, and patterns in the context in which the observer sees them. The phenomena occur on a daily, worldwide basis. The UK annual reporting rate, which is for a relatively small part of the Earth's total airspace, is summarized at figure 1. It was basically around 800 for the most and then 100 for the least. That UAP exists is indisputable. Indisputable. Credited with the ability to hover, land, take off, accelerate to exceptional velocities, and vanish. They can reportedly alter their direction of flight suddenly and clearly can exhibit aerodynamic characteristics well beyond those of any known aircraft or missile, either manned or unmanned. Very interesting. And then there's pages and pages of this. So occasionally, and perhaps exceptionally, it seems that a field with as yet undetermined characteristics can exist between certain charged, buoyant objects in loose formation, such that depending on the viewing aspect, the intervening space between them forms an area, viewed as a shape, often triangular, from which the reflection of light does not occur. This is a key finding in the attribution of what have frequently been reported as black craft, often triangular, and even up to hundreds of feet in length. The close proximity of plasma-related fields can adversely affect a vehicle or person. For this to occur, the UAP must be encountered at very close ranges. A probable modulated magnetic, electric, or electromagnetic, or even unknown field appears to emanate from some of the buoyant charged masses. The conditions for the initial formation and sustaining of what are apparently buoyant charged masses, which can form, separate, merge, hover, climb, dive, and accelerate, are not completely understood. Nevertheless, the underlying physics may have some military application. Yes, of course. And then we have some blacked out stuff. I mean, just this report shows me that they know a lot more than they're letting on. And they're basically kind of seeing, or this led me to this Turkish UFO. As always, if you like this content, please hit that like button. So smash the like button, really helps the algorithm. Subscribe if you want to get more content. And then if you really like the channel, you want to support it, then go to patreon.com/Chris Lado. Link is in the description, and you can support the channel for as low as $1 a month and get access to specific benefits. Let's get on to the video. Like I said, there's tons of information on there. You can go, this is Roger Leir, okay? It's in, they do Turkish dub overlay, so it's kind of hard to hear, but Roger Leir was there at this UFO conference, and he basically goes through that he was there and watched Yilmaz, this guy, film the actual UFO. So he was there, he looked through the viewfinder. I mean, it's pretty impressive. So he was very adamant on this. He did an interview with George Knapp. They talked about this as well. So this is a big case covered in Turkey, and I haven't really heard anything else about it. So under playlist here, you can go to Roger Leir interviews, or we go to the explanation of the video. Okay, so I really like this one. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, so this guy, Haktan Akdoğan, he's like a famous, apparently Turkish ufologist. So he did a whole interview, investigation of this with the photographer here. Murat is his first name. Murat is a very common name, so I think he goes by Yalcin. It's like his middle name. Okay, so this is actually the camera guy here. That's Yalcin Yalman. I can get a better picture for you later. And then this is the camera he actually uses. And he goes through and explains, exactly what it is. So let's listen to that.
Diyafram maksimumda 1.8'dir. Markayı belirtelim. Canon DM GR1A. Evet. Objektif 100x bunun. Yani, değil mi? Canon dijital zoom. IS 3cc 100x'tir. 20 optikal 100x'tir. Şurada gördüğümüz bir aparatımız daha var. Bu da telekonverter'dır. Şu
Sony telekonversiyon.
Konversör olan cihazımızı 58 milim olan adaptöre montajını yapıyoruz. Bu teleobjektif de Sony marka VCL HGD 1758 model. Evet, lenstir. X1.7.
So you see he puts on another adapter on it that increases the zoom even further. So if you want to get good UFO videos, I think this is how you do it.
Şimdi bu takım aparatı taktığımız zaman şurada bir şey değinmek istiyorum Aktan Bey.
20 optikalimiz 40 oldu. 100x'imiz 200 oldu. Bu ne demektir? 100x'imiz 200 kere yakınlaştık. 40 optikal 40 kere defa
yani 20 büyütürken 40 büyütmeye geçti.
Büyütmeye geçti.
Yakınlıkta 200 kere daha yakınlaşmaya. Yani çok ciddi bir zoom sağlıyor.
Bu nesneleri önce parlak ışık gördüğüm için, bataryanın bitmemesi için şurada gördüğümüz LCD dediğimiz bir ekran vardır.
What's great here is he explains how he actually was filming. Okay, so the LCD screen, he says, takes a lot of battery. So he closes that and he just uses one eye to see the bright objects. So he said he could see them with the naked eye. So he would see the objects and then he would line up the camera and then zoom in as far as he could. And then he wouldn't actually be able to see what was on the LCD. So he didn't see what he was capturing till later on. So he explains here how he actually gets the footage.
Bu ekranın bataryayı yediği için bunu kapatıp renkli vizöründen, tekrar göstereyim, renkli vizöründen ışığı,
o parlak
ışığı şu şekilde,
önce çıplak gözle görüyorsunuz.
Evet, 120 derece kaldırarak ve yanımdaki şahit olanlar parlak ışığı çıplak gözle görüyorlar.
Siz de görüyorsunuz.
Ben de görüyorum.
Görüyorsunuz.
Ondan sonra şu tek gözümde, sağ gözümle bakıyorum, sol gözümle de odaklanıyorum. Tekrar gözümü kapattıktan sonra zoom out in yapıyorum. Yani nesneyi net olarak
zoomluyorsunuz. Sonra kayıda geçiyorsunuz.
Tabii kayıda geçiyorum.
Şimdi sorulardan biri buydu. Niye zoomlanmış sadece? Geniş açı alınmış. Bunun sebebi siz pili bitmesin diye.
Evet.
Önce cismi gördükten sonra vizörden görüyorsunuz.
Evet.
Zoomlayıp kayıt düğmesine bastınız.
Evet. Bir de çünkü bu ışığın netini göre exposure dediğimiz şurada bir filtre olayımız var. Gelen süzme ışığı süzerekten cismin netliğine ulaştı.
Arttırıyor.
Evet.
So that is Yalcin Yalman. There he is on the right. So you can hear him actually in the video, or I can hear him. Okay, so I speak Turkish. It's not amazing, you know. It's a little rusty, but I can hear him, understand him clearly when he's talking to his buddy who's watching him there. Basically saying, do you still see it? Is it moving? Okay, it's moving. That's why he's always asking questions, because he's just tracking it. He's tracking this little bright dot, and then he's zooming in with the camera. So that's basically how he's actually recording this stuff. And this guy did a pretty amazing investigation on it. They ask about the AM, PM. Okay, so in one of the videos, it showed PM instead of AM. So they're like, hey, it's doctored, or they're messing up the time. But this dude, they explain in this video here that Yalcin doesn't speak English, and so AM, PM, he didn't even worry about it, didn't bother, didn't know what it was saying. Metabunk, actually, so they went through, was trying to find the actual, what is the cruise ship theory, okay? And basically, I don't think it's a very good theory, okay? First off, this is from Metabunk site, okay? So Metabunk, actually, yeah, good debunking information. So if you look here, they tracked, let's say Turkey, when they went through and did this big investigation, they actually tracked all of the cruise ships, okay? And there were no cruise ships, like I already mentioned, over in this area. There were no cruise ships in this area. And then we already mentioned about the cruise ships theory debunked, okay? So I measured, basically this is 12 degrees, it's 12 degrees. And then, so the UFO, you can measure the degrees there. Okay, so that wouldn't track if the times were different. And so this whole cruise ship theory doesn't really pan out. You do have, this is what it came from, this picture, okay, which, I mean, you can make that any angle, you can, and then my question is, where's the other lights, right? Also, they've done a lot of analysis on the moon. Okay, so if we look at the moon phase, there's 3 times basically where the moon was in the shot, and each time the moon phase matched with the date and time. So if you, just think about it. How many hours this guy Yilmaz, he has several hours of footage that he put out there, and yet none of it has been debunked. Okay, there hasn't been any actual debunking. And you imagine there's hours of footage. Okay, so this cruise ship theory, I don't think it holds water. Is it these lights? Are these lights actually, are these charged masses creating some sort of weird effect in here? Or is this a ship? Is that a ship? And what we're seeing is these charged masses are actually engines. Could these actually be some sort of plasma engine? required by these ships or used to do whatever, who knows what they're doing. So I don't know, man, very, very interesting. This case, you start watching it, just start looking at the videos, man. There's so much footage on there. It is really impressive. And for me, it was quite impressive because I speak Turkish, so I can hear the guy. You know, to me, it doesn't sound like he is, you know, faking this. You can hear him talking to his buddy. Do you see it?
İlerliyor değil mi? Evet.
It's going, right? It's moving. Yeah, a little bit.
Koca bir ana gemiyi çekiyorum ben şimdi.
There's one more interesting scene I want to show. Let me find that. Okay, last section here, I just want to go through just probably the most interesting actual ship information or whatever you think this thing is. But let's just watch through, and it really, this kind of blew my mind, this section. Let's check it out. So this is in 2008. I'm going to pause it here. Okay, so what you'll see is you can see the shadow moving across, or what looks like a shadow, right? But it's a shadow of what? You know, because the moon, is this the moon reflection? I don't know. It looks it's just crazy to me. Do you see it? He says. How is this thing? How can this be? I'm translating right now. It came out early. He says, the first time he's seen it this shiny. First time this shiny. This bright. Alkan's the guy next to him. Alkan, how can it be this? How can it be like this? He said, is it going? Gidiyor, is it moving? And the guy says, yes. And here's where it changes shape. Whoa, he says, Şekil değişti. So the shape changed. Shape changed. Let me get it there. And this is what kind of blew my mind. This looked like the McMinnville UFO, right? I mean, kind of weird angles. You have this thing here. He says, hey, no, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. It's changing shape, he says. Look. It's going. Stopping. Now the shape's changing. He's like, how can that be? Böyle bir şey yok. I'm doing focus. I'm focusing. It got further away, he said. It moved further. Gidip geliyor. It goes and comes. It stopped, right? And the guy's like, yeah, it stopped. Where'd it go? It stopped. The other guy's like, I lost it. Man, interesting. So, yeah, I'm surprised more people aren't talking about this. It seems like the best footage we have yet. It's long footage. It's been analyzed many times. Okay, this is from 12 years ago. And mind-blowing. You know, and that's where I really seen the first instance of lights kind of co-located with the same shape as an actual craft. So are these lights, could these be some sort of plasma engine? Or are we looking at some crazy cruise ship? Or is this all a hoax? I don't know. To me, it seems like the best example that we have so far of a large ship, of a large object that is able to change its shape, change its color, maybe not be seen. Because it seems like either we see these weird plasma lights or we see a ship. I don't know. What do you guys think? So write in the comments. Try to read every comment. Thanks for watching to the end with an open mind, hopefully. What do you guys think on this case? I think it's an amazing case. I think that UK release is awesome. There's tons of information in there. I'm going to come back to that for sure. Thanks again to my patrons. But really, just thanks for watching to the end. It's probably the best form of support. If you do like this video, if you liked it, smash that like button, helps the algorithm, share it, subscribe for future content, and support the channel on patreon.com/Chris Lado. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week. Peace.